when the Depression and the Navy wanted to expand, there's so many people wanted to join that there was a lot of list of people in there, and then there's a waiting list. So I had a waiting list. The fall had come around, and they hadn't called me, and where I worked, the people that got the job was a young farm couple. They had a 3-year-old daughter, and the 3-year-old daughter was, I hadn't been around little kids like that, and the parents wouldn't have time to play with them, and I did. And anyway, they got company one day, and they'd go spend the night. No, they wasn't going to spend the night. They came, and I was out milking cows, and this little girl all of a sudden decided, she says, I want to see Jimmy milking cows. And her mother would said, no, we can't go, no, we got company. And she kept on, and finally she started crying. And this couple had 5 kids, 3 girls and 2 boys. And she asked the older girl, she says, would you take her out to the milk barn? Says, you'll like him, he's a nice guy. And so she brought her out, and I talked to her, and I asked her where she's from. She says, Panama City, Florida. I said, boy, you're a long ways from home. Yeah, so I wanted to see her again, so I hurried with the chores as much as I could, but I thought she'd still be there, but they left. The next day, they came back again, and 2 more uncles came back, and they were having a family get-together. But this girl didn't come back because another uncle had 3 daughters, and she was there. So I never got to see her then, but...
What was her name?
What?
What was her name?
Mary Alice Banks. And she was... the next day she wasn't there, and I talked to her mom and dad, and her dad asked me if I'd ever been to Florida. I said, no, but I'd like to go. He says, if you come down that way, come to our house, you'll be welcome. I said, well, I've waited 2 months now, and I says, I'm due to be called any time, so it's probably not like it's going to happen. And when time went on, Thanksgiving came and passed. Field work was done, and so I asked my boss if I could take a week off and go to Florida. He said, yeah. So I hitchhiked. I had $8. It's 1,000 miles down, 1,000 miles back. And when I got there the next morning, she came out to show me their farm. They lived, not their farm, their place. They had 5 acres at the edge of town. It was fenced in with a chain link fence. I could tell she wasn't as old as I thought she was. I thought she was 15 or 16, and she was a freshman, and I got to thinking, well, she's just 14 years old. So I decided, no, that nobody wanted an 18-year-old to be the 14-year-old. But then afterward, I got to think, I really gave up on her, and then I thought, no, I know her address, and I know where her folks live, and I lived by her grandma in Indiana. See, their family's from Indiana and moved down there. And I said, I know where their uncles live, and it's just, I still got a chance. And then I realized I'd signed up 6 years for the Navy. And so time passed, and I didn't get called in until December. But
so December of 1939, you go into the Navy.
So after I got in the Navy, of course, there was not much time to think about a girl or anything like that. I never wrote to her because I thought she was too young.
Did you ever see her again?
I married her. When I got my leave to go back in February '43, when I got back, Mary was going to graduate that year from high school. And I still didn't think much about it then until I was looking at the bulletin board, and the bulletin board said wanted a Marine, not a Marine, somebody who was a Marine that was, how was it? Proficient in shorthand for the Submarine Chaser Training Center at Miami, Florida. I thought, I'll sign up for that. And then I thought about Mary. I said, I'll ask for delay in reporting if I could get it, and I'd stop and see her, because it'd be in northern Florida, and it'd be, submarine chasing was South Florida. And so I put in for it, and I thought, well, I won't get it, but in about 4 or 5 days, I got a telegram from him saying that I'd been approved. My orders would be forthcoming. Boy, was I ever high then, And first week, I figured it'd take a little bit of time, but first week I got no orders. The second week I didn't get any. So the third, I was at the receiving station at San Francisco then. I was out on Goat Island. It was the receiving station was out there. And so I decided my office was in San Francisco. So I went to San Francisco the day following, after about the second week, and I asked them about my orders. They says, you're not going? I said, yeah, and I showed them my telegram. They said, well, Commander Grimm had saw that ahead of you, and he nixed it. He canceled the deal. Said he wanted me there. He said he had a job for me. And I thought, well, it's over. I mean, then again, I gave up again. I'd be 2,800 miles away from her. There'd be no way. She graduated from high school, and at that age, kids were getting married early, because most of it was rural, Mm-hmm. And I thought somebody will fall in love and that'll happen. We'd taken over Guam from the Japanese, They'd taken it away from us. And wanted to open up a receiving station there, and he says they want somebody for opening up that receiving station. He says, I'll recommend you for it. So I went there. But I don't know, I must have sent a card to Mary. I did every once in a while send a card, just it didn't say anything, just a card, what it was. And I got a letter from her. That letter changed everything. So our courtship was by mail, 7,500 miles away. I was so glad to get the letter that I said, I want to write every day with you, and she did. She said yes. She wrote yes. But I think what made the difference, for a long time I thought, oh, I love her, but she won't marry me. There's a lot better guys than me. And I almost didn't go there. And I finally said, no, I'm going to try it. But what changed it, I think, was she'd write about different things. But one letter wrote, she said the song she liked on the hit parade, she said what they were, the 3 songs. I only remember one of them. I'd remembered others for a while, but I finally forgot them. One of them was Dream, Dream, Dream. I like country music. I never listened to the hit parade. I found a place, guys had radios where they'd listen to it. I listened to it, and the lyrics on those songs made me think she's thinking about me, you know. They could hold you for 6 months. I tell her when I was going to be back. Well, time for me to leave. My captain says, yeah, I'm going to hold you. Oh boy! So I had to write and tell Mary it's going to be 6 more months, and I think just 3 or 4 days, or just a little while after that. Of course, I got all the mail, you know, and I'd take it into, and I had to tell TBX that came across, and I took what I got on a TBX, and I said, well, I says, at least you get to go home. He says, what do you mean? So I hand him his orders, you know, and he looks at the orders and looked up and he says, well, you can go now. He says, I'll drop it in Island Command's lap. So he says, fill out the papers, I'll sign them. So I didn't have to do I did a little longer because that's why I got out December 21st instead of December 11th. I got into into Los Angeles. Well, let's see. Yeah, it was Los Angeles. And so to get out of there, you know, they were coming back for the thousands. Going to be at least 2 weeks. No matter how you went out, you'd have to get out. So I decided to hitchhike. So I hitchhiked back. I got back about as quick as I went on because, you know, I had my uniform on and people picked me up pretty good. I got into town and I called them and her mother come and picked me up at the bus station. That's where I would come by there and I was hitchhiking, but I saw a bus station, so I thought I'll call her, you know, in case she got company or something, you know. And her mother brought her in, and I don't know, you know, her mother was, I thought she was really a nice person, but I thought I wasn't measuring up to her or something, but I just shook Mary's hand and we went out there, and then when we got out to their place there, why, she took me into her room and put my arms around her and asked her to marry me.
Right there, huh?
Yeah. Well, I told her I want something as fast as you can get it. But she talked to her mother and father, and they decided that they wanted to get married in the church, and we married in the First Baptist Church in Panama City. It's about 4 weeks later.